an eargasm of learning and a no-fuss show. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast, where you can learn straightforward topics about branding, digital entrepreneurship, online business, and many more with your charming host, John Santos, along with inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders worldwide.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast with me, John Santos. And today we have an amazing special guest. Self-love coach and mindset mentor. Wow. Let's all welcome Chloe Stephens. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Jan. Happy Monday to you all.
Yes, happy Monday indeed. And I'd like to welcome Matt Rowden, Martin Stark. Thank you for joining us today, early birds. I am excited for today's topic. You know why? Because we are going to talk about how to avoid burnout and build resilience. And the perfect person to share values on this topic is our guest, Chloe Stephens. So my friend, Chloe, how to avoid burnout and build resilience, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the amazing introduction. My background is a fitness professional. I've spent 30 years in the fitness industry. But I realized probably about 10, 12 years ago that there was more that I could help people with than just sounds terrible, but you know, it's not just about movement and fitness. But I think I learned that it was so important to help people, first of all, change their behavior, to understand themselves better, and also to really recognize that just doing and pushing yourself all the time will lead to burnout, will lead to stressful diseases. So I learnt many skills around helping people to change their thinking, which then in turn changes their behavior. And then I also got really interested in the world and stress resilience. So helping people to understand that just doing all the time is not the key. Learn to just equation to consider is stress, which we all have much of in our lives, plus recovery equals growth. And I think many of us and many people I've spoken to and worked with in the past, their lives are full of too much stress and there's not enough recovery, and that's where they're getting stuck. So that is in a nutshell what I'm doing and why I'm passionate.
Before we, dig in deeper, let's start with, this is my personal question, right? How do you make clear, or how do you know that you are in the situation that you are burnt out already? More than just getting tired, but you are in that borderline that you are already burnt out. How do you know that? How do you figure out that you are in that situation already, that you are, you're more than just tired, you're getting anxious and it's burnout? How do you know that?
I mean, that's a great question. Thank you. I think that there's a number of factors involved here, and a lot of them are individual to particular people. So I think some of the things are that I think often people don't recognize these things until they have got a little bit out of hand. But, lots of headaches, very poor sleep, waking up not refreshed, not being able to enjoy just the simple things in life, thinking that they have to just keep going. And yeah, I mean, there's so many factors, but I don't think it's any one thing. I think it's a case of people really learning to slow down and actually listen to some of the signals that their body is giving. And I think many people have lost that ability to listen to what their body is telling them.
Love that. Love that. You need to understand, the key word that you mentioned that really stuck in my mind is, you need to listen to the signals that your body is telling you. And that, that goes different in each person, right? It's very different because each person is unique. So their body reacts, their work is different. So you need to really hone in and understand the signals that your body is telling you that, hey, Jan, hey, Chloe, I'm in the verge of burnout. You need to slow down. And you really need to take time to recuperate and just restore whatever is being lost. Having said that, Chloe, let's say, yes, you are now understanding that you're more than just tired. You're getting burned out. What are the basic steps that you can do now that you understand the signals that your body's telling you that you need to stop because I'm in that situation of burnout?
Yeah. Again, this will be different for everybody. There's no sort of one size fits all. But I think, personally, I think it's all about stripping, rather than trying to be everything and do everything, it's stripping things back. So going right back to basics. I think that sleep and prioritizing sleep is imperative for health. I think another thing is noticing how you're breathing. When we're in a state of fight or flight, you will notice, I'm sure if you've ever felt worried or anxious about something, your breathing will be very high up in your chest. You'll probably be breathing through your mouth as well. So when you become aware of that, and of course, awareness is the first step in any kind of change. I'm noticing a really simple thing that you can do is just to place your hands. In fact, if everybody is listening now, place your hands on the bottom of your rib cage with your fingers in front and your thumbs behind. And just close your mouth and try and breathe into your hands. So you're breathing in through your nose, trying to feel your rib cage get a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. And then again, exhaling through the nose, feeling that rib cage decrease in size. And what we're trying to do here is activate diaphragmatic breathing. And when you can learn to breathe more like that, especially extending the exhale a little bit longer than your inhale, that naturally tells your brain, I'm safe. And at that point, your nervous system can switch from being in the sympathetic, in the fight or flight, panic, into I'm safe, rest and digest. So we stimulating the parasympathetic.
Wow.
So it's just, I personally believe that we don't need to overcomplicate things. If we can learn to do the simple things really well, that is the key to, moving forwards with this.
I tried doing it, and it, as simple as that, it gives me relaxation. So guys, for everyone that's listening and for people on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, try it out. It's something, you might think it's something simple, but it really makes a big difference. Chloe, we have messages here from Instagram, 2 from Instagram and 2 from TikTok, 1 from Facebook. I'll start with the question from Instagram from Mario Taha. The question is, how do you fix burnout in a relationship? Chloe, the floor is yours.
How do you fix burnout in a relationship? Wow. That's an interesting question. I suppose it depends on the context of the burnout in a relationship. I imagine what they're asking is they feel like the relationship has got to the end Or do you think that's what the question
Yes, yes,
means?
it could be. Again, for everyone that is listening, like what Chloe mentioned a while ago, and she's stressing on it. There's no one size fits all in figuring out, understanding how to cope up with burnout. But in the context of this question, you're right, Chloe. I think the question is leaning to both parties are getting tired of continuing the relationship. It may be they're let me use the word drying out. That's the context of this question. How do you fix burnout in a relationship? The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so I imagine that, and I have been in that place before, I'm sure we all have, when you feel that a relationship is coming to an end and you're unsure of where to go. I think one of the simplest things to do is give yourself some space. I think space is a powerful tool, and that wouldn't mean that you have to have space for, a week or 2 weeks, but even just a day apart to really think about how it is you're feeling, what it is you want to achieve and to move forwards, and maybe even getting the help of a third party to mediate around the troubles you're having at the moment.
Mm. Love that. Love that. Another question from Instagram from Roland. Hi, Jan. I'm working in a small coffee shop. My question is how to avoid burnout in this small workplace. The floor is yours, Chloe.
Okay, so I'm imagining that Roland is working on maybe on his own. And I hear this a lot with clients when they're running their own business. And I've been there as well. When you first start working for yourself, you feel like you have to wear every single hat in the business. So if you're working in a coffee shop, you're managing it, you are doing the accounts, you are maybe doing the cleaning, you're doing the HR, you're being everything to everyone. And of course, that will lead to taking on too much. And as I said right at the beginning, stress is good for us in some ways, but recovery is so important as well, because that's what leads to growth. So maybe Roland could think about doing some delegating. There's an amazing productivity tool called the Eisenhower Matrix. And if he hasn't seen that, it would be a great idea to have a look, because it splits up your week. If you write a list of everything you've got going on in your life, every single task that you think you need to achieve in your week, and then there are 4 quadrants, and you start to decide which corner you're going to put the particular items on there. And the top 2 quadrants are quite important and urgent tasks that usually only you can do. The bottom left, I believe, is delegate. And there might be some things on that list that he could actually delegate to people. And the bottom right corner is delete. And often when I do this exercise, things like, social media scrolling, watching TV, you just lots of things that actually, when you strip things back and you take a look, there could be some things that Roland could either delete or delegate that could help him to have a bit more time to do the things that he loves.
I love that. I love that. Delegation, and you're right. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, and this is it's a big void when you're working as an entrepreneur, a brand, you're running a business, you tend to do things on your own because you know that you are an expert in that field. You're created to do said, which is not wrong, but it puts you in that state that you're losing a lot of energy. You're getting tired. Your body, mind, and soul is getting tired, and that is where burnout starts. And one of the effective and powerful way to lessen that when you are in that situation is to delegate. You can start by building a team, hiring someone, making connections, collaboration. It doesn't need to be big, but you need to have someone that can work with you as a team. You can delegate, you can pass, someone that can work with you alongside you. By delegating, you can play with more time. That is very essential, because it's either you can use the time in equipping yourself, learning, studying, or you can use that time to relax, restore the strength that is gone, or really meditate, things like that. Or like what I did, you create more time and you use that with your family, with your friends, with people that you really, look onto, special in your life. It gives you that peace, it gives you that joy, it really transforms your way of life. So it all starts by understanding that.
Yeah, great point. And also, I think with many entrepreneurs, we like to think we can do it all. But, I've recognized and learnt the hard way sometimes that, for instance, me trying to create a digital presentation, that is not my forte. My forte is coaching people. So rather than me spend, 8 hours trying to create a PowerPoint, I may as well just pay someone who has that expertise to do it for me.
I love that. I learned this from, and you guys know this person, Pete Cohen. It was like 2 years ago. I don't know. I think Matt Rowden here, he's in the audience, and Mandy Jane, and Louise. We were in the platform called Clubhouse. That's Ed Cohen and his company. We made a podcast episode. He was a guest, and I asked him very clearly, nothing serious. So Pete, how can you go to the next level if you're a brand, if you're a entrepreneur, and you want to achieve that success, which everyone is fighting for, is striving for? What do you need to do? And Pete, with his history and culture, combined with this humor, it was so light. But he mentioned that if you want to be successful, you need to be a part in someone's journey towards success. And I will never forget that. I actually, paraphrased it and used it as my own copyright issues. But, if you're a part of someone's success, in a way, you're building connection, and you will understand that you cannot do everything by yourself. You are not created to be alone. Because when you're helping someone, you might ask, "Hey Jan, isn't it the topic is you getting more support? Why are you are the one who's making support?" Because you need to understand, guys, that in order for us to understand the power of delegation, we must first be and operate in that space. We need to be a part of someone else. We need to help. We need to coach. We need to mentor. We need to support. We need to follow. And when you're operating in that power, you will not notice people are drawn to you, and they will connect you. And you will be amazed with the connections that you get, because those people, they're created to be a support for you. Because of that connection with Pete, I met a lot of amazing people like Matt Rowden, Mandy Jane, and they have all these qualities that I need in my journey towards success. Even you, Chloe Stephens, even Martin Stark, he's in the audience today with us, two-time LinkedIn top voice. I mean, the universe operate in that way, but you need to understand before anything else the power of delegation, the power that you cannot do. Even if you're an expert in your field, you can only do so much alone, because you need someone to work side by side alongside you, understanding the power of collaboration, the power of connection, and the power of delegation, because it's more than that. It's more than you. What do you think, Chloe?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Pete there, because this is how I met you, through Pete's what was it called? One day, 1 month?
1 month.
At the
Yeah,
beginning,
the first
1 month.
first Monday of the month thing. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. So that's where I met you. And I've also met through Pete, Matt, Mandy Jane, Emma, Louise, and Nadeem. So it just goes to show the power of Pete and his amazing way of connecting and networking people. And yeah,
Love that.
there we go. Small
Those
world.
names, yeah, those names that you mentioned, they're all legends. Mandy Jane here, we've partnered, and she is just amazing. She will blow you away, with her, vision, dreams. She's just amazing. And Matt Rowden,
Are all a part of their community.
yes, yes. So for everyone here joining, Matt, Martin, Mandy, Emma, Louise, Nadim, please raise your hand if you want. We can bring you up so you can ask questions. There you go, Martin. Uno momento, my friend. I will bring you up. But before that, let's go on to the third question from TikTok from Mona A32. That's her name. Yes, she's a human being. She's not a robot. All right. Mona A32. The question is, hi, I'm a speaker. My question is how to build resilience as a leader. I'm traveling a lot and I have 5 to 6 part-timers in my team. Thank you, John. Love you. So, Chloe, while I bring the people that raise their hands up on the stage, please feel free. The floor is yours.
Okay, so how can she build resilience
Yes, as a leader.
As a leader, when she's traveling a lot? Is that right?
Yes, and she has a 5 to 6 part-time, worker in her team.
Yeah. Okay, so how can she build resilience as a leader? I think it again boils down to really looking after herself. Yeah, I think that if we can look after our bodies, our bodies will start to look after knowing all their sleep and wake times. We are meant to not spend all of our time in that fight or flight that I talked about. When we're not designed to be switched on all the time. So I keep coming back to it, we have to make time for recovery. And that sounds really extreme, but I think that we wouldn't need so much recovery if we just learned how to spend a bit more time just being. And that could be, if she's traveling a lot, it could be trying to manipulate her caffeine and her light so that she...
Ouch. You just said that word that, really hit me. Manage your caffeine. Ouch.
Honestly, it is key. I believe that if we can learn to sleep within the same hour, so say if you go to bed at 10 p.m. and you always go to bed between 10 and 11 p.m. every night, and then every morning you try and wake between the same hour, that's what our body really likes. So then when we're being kinder to our bodies, whether we're traveling or not, we can, if we start to manipulate our caffeine, so taking less caffeine before we're going on a long flight, and, screens are unavoidable in this day and age, aren't they?
Yeah.
But there are many things that she could try. For instance, blue light blocking glasses, great idea. Putting your screen a bit further away from your brain. There's so many things, but I think it all boils down to just stripping back, going back to basics and listening to your body, trying to just simplify.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, Chloe. And yes, I will lessen my caffeine intake. I'll try.
You know what? It's not about lessening, but a really good tip, if you'd like me to share it.
Sure.
Okay, so when we wake up, I'm a little bit of a geek around this subject. So when we wake up in the morning, say you wake up naturally in the morning at like 7 a.m. Most people, and I might be generalizing here, but most people I know wake up and drink coffee or tea first thing. So they wake up and it's almost like sleepwalking into the kitchen and they drink their tea or their coffee. And they believe that that is what helps them to wake up in the morning. Now, when we wake up, cortisol, our body's main stress hormone, is what wakes us up in the morning. Like, people think of cortisol as being a bad thing, but if we cortisol, our cortisol spikes further and our body doesn't actually need that spike then. So the magic time, Jan, and everybody else who's listening, is to delay your caffeine intake in the mornings for 90 minutes. You can do it. I know you can. So 90 minutes. And what that will do is your body's cortisol will just drop a little bit. After 90 minutes, you give yourself some caffeine and that helps to spike your cortisol a little bit. And it gives you the energy that the caffeine is designed to give you.
Wow. This really, it's an awakening for me. Personally, I learned a lot from that tip because I'm guilty, when you said that, sleepwalking towards the kitchen, I'm more of a zombie towards the kitchen.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And this changed my routine now. And I'm excited to do that. And I'm excited to practice that. And the reason why, because I've read this from a blog, but now hearing from an expert, moving in that space and how you really explain it well, straight to the point. So now I'm excited to really practice that. So no more zombies in the morning, everyone. Thank you, Chloe. All right, we have three guests that join us. I think they have a question or they want to add something. Let's go first with Martin. My friend, please introduce yourself and feel free to ask any questions related to the topic to Chloe, or if you want to add something. The floor is yours, my friend.
Hey everybody, I'm Martin Stark, the Courage Champion, and I help people on LinkedIn. At the beginning of the year, I promised myself I would follow the advice of my nan, who is a polite version of Norabati, as I would not put up with nonsense. 2 weeks ago, J.K. Rowling, Jake Paul, Piers Morgan were outraged, and they caused a social media pylon about two female boxers they knew nothing about. So I was interviewed by The Express and told them I mentioned J.K. Rowling and Jake Paul, meaning stop jumping to conclusions and stop being bullies, be better human beings. The world is full of dogma. We don't need to listen to it. My body doesn't produce cortisol, have a rare disease, and I avoid listening to nonsense. I prefer spending time listening to this podcast, this audio rooms, having amazing conversations. I've had great conversations with Mandy, MJ. She's just bloody awesome. And we share a passion for boxing. I'm writing a book and I'm about to write a scene of a crocodile throwing out two homophobes in a boxing match. Completely fictional, but to finish off a day of writing 5,000 words, and I need some humor. I need some 1980s zany young ones, Blackadder, fictitious nonsense that was a good laugh. So it's going to be Bert and Doris. Doris has a go at Bert for telling dirty jokes in the pub, and I meet him at the dentist. So I'm writing a silly scene about a crocodile throwing out a homophobe at a boxing competition, and the crocodile tells dirty jokes, which Doris really loves.
I'm super excited, my friend. I know Martin. We're also partnering in his brand, and he's one of the best human beings that God gave me the opportunity to meet. More than a business partner, a friend, a brother. He's amazing. Martin, my friend, any questions you have in mind about how to avoid burnout and build resilience, or you want to add something? Please feel free to share, my friend.
A question for you, Chloe, is I find people, it's what I call outsourcing their chaos and stress. there's that fine difference between venting to somebody, but in the world of sharing everything, some people kind of latch onto you, and I have to have healthy boundaries to make sure I don't absorb other people's stress. How do you build that emotional barrier just to make sure you're protected? Because some people will sap your energy if you let them.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for that question. And I totally empathize with you because I feel that sometimes as well. And I think it is a case of learning our boundaries, isn't it? It's about recognizing, first of all, I don't know about you, you said about people draining your energy. And I think there's two types of people in this world. You've got drains or radiators. So I think the first thing is to, if somebody is trying to offload and it's somebody that you aren't working with, but you sound like you're a very giving person, it's perhaps just, explaining, I'm listening to you. I'll get back to you at a later date, something like that. So you've got the time to regulate yourself before you go into that conversation. If it's somebody that you are working with, for me, when I've been in a coaching situation that has felt quite draining, I just have to give myself that space to go and do something away from people. So again, it's that space piece, it's getting outside. I'm very lucky to live by the beach. So for me, just to go and sit by the sea or even get in the sea really helps me. How does that sound for you?
No, definitely. And I live by the ocean. Literally, it's a 5-minute walk away, and I try and go there at least once a week. It's interesting. As an entrepreneur, I get to choose who I work with. And I'm just going to share a funny story about her building. People in her apartment block would take the fire escape instead of the lift just to not meet her. And I just make sure I spend as little time there as possible.
Wow.
Love that. Wow. That is something. If people are going, the extra mile, not to see you, that's a red flag. Thank you, Martin. And I love that, Chloe. I love how you gave that perspective. Really powerful. Next, we have another legend. I respect this person so much. Back in the Clubhouse days, audio session, Matt Rowden. Welcome to the show. If you have any questions or you want to add something, feel free. But first, please introduce yourself, my friend.
Good morning, everybody. Jan, good to see you. Good to be in your space, and everybody here. It's such a great opportunity to listen to you, Chloe. Fantastic, really, really fantastic. I've got to know you in some depth over the last 3 months, something like that, 4 months. And the more I listen to you, the more I think to myself, why didn't I get to know you a long time ago? How comes we've only just met? But that's just the way it is. And, we've aligned at this point. And I just think, wow, how I'm a next 20 plus years. And I'm telling you now, when is that moment when people are really going to wake up? Because, when I look around, I think smoking's not trendy anymore. You have to go to certain countries and you see people really dragging on cigarettes, even at the age of 13. I think it's more of a trend in certain countries at that age. Whereas in London, it's kind of like one of those things you don't see anymore because it's been knocked out of them. But when's it going to be knocked into people? The fact that it really is about now, because what you're doing now will have that effect in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time. That's if you even get to make it that far. We're in such a challenging time. In your space, Chloe, what you stand for, I tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question because I've got tons I want to talk about. All right, I've got so much stuff I want to share, especially when it comes to stress and making the choice. I think when we want to actually understand, ourselves, it's all about that decision to say, no, that is it. Right now, I stop. Because that's what I experienced 9 days ago. In a war, when people are in battle, a retreat isn't a case of we're losing. A retreat is a case to stop and evaluate and see where we're at. And I have to step back. I have to step back in order to see clearly, because if all the time I'm in it, it is so powerful. I just want to see more of you, not in that way, but in the other way of what you have to offer, because your voice is so powerful. Your message is so powerful and it lands so beautifully. So my question to you is, what's next? And where do I get to see you? Where do we all get to see you? And how do you get to influence the world?
Wow. Matt, thank you so much for, first of all, showing up here this morning. And I think that we were meant to meet each other when we did. So I think that the universe has its ways. And I know you've been going through some stuff recently, and some stuff that's, to put it mildly. And I love what you said around, retreating is not, it doesn't mean you're giving up. It's actually giving yourself that space, isn't it? Which is so powerful. Space is the key to noticing and becoming aware. I think it's just taking, I always talk about it as being a pause, in any situation, just take a pause for a moment, because rather than reacting straight away. What can you expect next? I am at the moment creating an online course for the over 40s who are feeling stressed, feeling stuck, and want a real simple way to realign their health at the most, I say the word basic, but which makes it sound like it's easy. But I think that there is so much information out there. And if you look at the coaching industry, the fitness industry, the health industry, there's so much out there, but nobody is talking about the basics of, hydration, sleeping well, getting the amount of deep sleep and REM sleep that we need, not only for our body to recover, but for our brain to recover as well. And stress resilience is a massive thing. If you think of all the diseases that there are out there, most of them stem from stress. However, stress is important for us. We need stress to grow. We need stress for drive. So I'm bringing out this course that's going to help people to understand themselves better and educate themselves around how they can use stress to their advantage, but also ways to balance their nervous system. And I'm speaking at more events so I can spread the words to more people so that they too can understand that simplifying things is the key to knowing themselves better. So great question. Thanks, Matt. Did it answer your question?
No, I'm only kidding. Yes, it did. Of course it did. I just wanted to listen to you talk. No, honestly, we could talk about this all day, right? We could talk about this all day. And I'm really excited to see the progress. Obviously, I know that you've been putting together your course. And I just think, listen, let me know if there's any way I can help you. Please reach out. As I said, my thing was 9 days ago, but I made a decision. But the events leading up to that is currently, we're in week 11. As some of you might know, my wife suffered a severe stroke, and it has really kind of changed our landscape, if you like. And I was told by, I don't know, I know some of you are familiar with Thomas Brosnan, behavioral and addiction specialist. He said to me, he had faith in me that I had the capacity to deal with the situation and I wouldn't need any kind of specialist support as such, but he was there as a friend, always just to lean into if I needed to. And I really valued that. But do you know what? Life is life, and it's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. And it's the little part that I play in that life that I have to play at the point where it works, and when it doesn't work and it's starting to crumble and it's starting to cause different effects, negative effects, that's the point where I have to go, right, let's stop for a minute, let's step back, because something's not feeling right. And when it doesn't feel right, as you guys spoke about earlier on, you know, it's a feeling you have inside. You have to make that choice and go, okay, what's not right and what am I going to do to get it where it needs to be? So week 11, 9 days ago, I made a significant decision, and it was painful, but it was the right decision because it's temporary, and it's given me so much more sense of correction, because the people that I was working with, Chloe, you was one of them, the dean, and Emma, MJ, you know, I'm all about serving, not taking. So whilst I was there, it was great to absorb and listen and that, but you know what? I'm all about trying to give back. And my headspace, honestly, you know, when you look at a USB stick and you think, how much space have I got left on it? And it says you got like less than 1 megabyte, and you think, oh, that's nearly dead, man. That's nearly dead. That's how my brain felt. That's how my body felt. And I had to go out and kind of reconfigure it. And after 9 days, it was the best choice I ever made. No reflection on you guys, because I miss you dearly, but I know we have ways of still connecting, right? And I'm coming back, so watch this space. Chloe, can't wait to spend some time with you and see what you are made of.
Well, and also, Matt, can I just say, like, really amazing for you for having that awareness around what you needed and recognizing that your capacity was full, and it goes sort of full circle to the feeling of burnout and how you build that resilience. And it is recognizing that listening to your intuition is so powerful, you know, understanding yourself and knowing what you need. So well done to you for listening to that and honoring that. And I have no doubt that, you know, things are going to move forwards beautifully for you. And I hope Georgia is getting better all the time.
Thank you.
Wow, love that. And yeah, Matt, full support here. And I love what you said about we need more of Chloe, or her values, her tips, her voice. Chloe, we need more of what you are created to be. You know, my advice, start utilizing, you know, social media platforms, start a podcast, you know, connect, start sessions like this, because your voice could be the answer that someone is waiting for, or you know, or praying for. And you know, imagine this session, the simple tip that you shared about, you know, not drinking coffee immediately when you wake up, that could change my routine for the better. And but you know, imagine the core message that you have, like what you've shared with Matt, that could change people's lives for the better. So my advice, start utilizing social media platforms like YouTube, podcasting in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, utilizing Facebook, LinkedIn, and you know, Instagram. If you don't, you've said here, Mandy, Nick, there are people that can do the things for you, so you can focus more in what you are created to be. So more of that from you. That's just a side comment, because I totally agree on what Matt said about you, Chloe. Love you, Matt. Thank you for joining. Next, we have another legend. Very beautiful. I am more than a fan of this person, Chloe. This is the legendary speaker leader, a good friend, business partner as well. I'm part of her team. Mandy Jane, MJ, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself, and if you have something to ask Chloe or to add, feel free. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to be here, and it's great to be on LinkedIn, talking about avoiding burnout and, of course, building Resilience. Look, Matt and Chloe are definitely next level. I know Matt's just gone down, but definitely next level collaborators. I think that's a good word. But the question I've got, and I just want to say thank you as well, Matt and Chloe and Jan, for putting on this session. It was great to hear from Martin too. Look, I work with people, ability partners. We work with the UK's Access to Work scheme. It's the help that disabled people get if they are at work or can get work, paid work 1 hour a week in the UK, and they have a disability. So I'm a trainee social worker, a therapist and Senko, and I help people in work get the reasonable adjustments. Actually, the assistance that they need. It's their workplace that has to give them reasonable adjustments, but the assistance they need in coaching, of course, as Chloe is, in coaching and in support work and in equipment. But my question is, because they're all disabled, and I am too, for completeness, often there can be situations that are, well, I'd call them adverse. You know, I'd say disability is an adversity sometimes. I know we've just alluded to Matt's wife, Georgia, having a stroke. It's quite an adverse situation. I had a TIA back in March the 22nd on my birthday, actually, and I'm dealing with neurology just now. But so they're fairly normal for the individuals I work with. These fairly, you know, these fairly difficult crisis points, and we all experience adversity. But I guess my question is, how do we move through adversity into resilience? And I'm wondering, Chloe, for you, whether you could give us an example of a time that you did that, and then how that helped you. And good morning, everybody.
Thanks, MJ. Really, really great for you to be here this morning. So I think that the question you asked is, I can think of so many times in my life where I have moved through adversity and built resilience. I believe that is actually one of my superpowers. But the most recent time I can tell you about is when I was 41 years old. I had an Achilles rupture, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was the second one in my life. I'd had one when I was 11. And at that time, the doctors had told me, you can never, ever exercise again, which was a bit of a kick in the teeth to an 11-year-old who was used to exercising every single day. And then, so when I was 41, I was having a personal training session and my second Achilles went pop. And at that point, my mind said, this is not happening again. So the doctors were telling me, you can't really exercise for about 8 weeks. And, you've got to be a little bit careful of this. And, don't know if you'll be able to climb Ben Nevis in 6 months. But I'm afraid little 11-year-old me had had enough of doctors telling me what I couldn't do. And so I decided in that moment that I would prove the doctors wrong. And I did. And something inside of me just made me, changed my trajectory. So I was back in the gym within 2 weeks and I was combat crawling on my elbows from machine to machine, just working the one leg that worked, working my upper body. I was back driving my car within a few weeks, crawling up the stairs. I just decided that this injury was not going to halt me again. And when I went to see my physio 4 months later, and I had Ben Nevis booked for, I think it was a month after that, I walked into the room and he just said, I can't believe you just walked in. I said, why? He said, well, most people in inverted commas after an Achilles injury can't do that. And I said, oh yeah, but I'm not most people. And I went on to climb Ben Nevis. 4 weeks after that appointment with my ankle strapped up so that I couldn't actually flex my foot. But it was one of the most empowering experiences of my life. And I think resilience through and coming out the other side. So that's the most recent example of resilience I can share with you. And I know that you, Mandy, you've proved your resilience in so many ways. I'd love to hear one of yours.
Well, yeah, thank you, Chloe. I think that's a great example of doing it anyway, right? Pushing through as opposed to avoiding it. I think it's questionable, isn't it, as to whether my resilience building has been advisable, I think, at times. But I think the one I'll share with you is that when I was in hospital in 2019 and I had some realization, it dawned on me that they'd put the "do not artificially resuscitate" label upon me, and I was trying to work that I needed to, how I could have this removed, or what was the possibility, and I couldn't get a doctor to come and see me, and I couldn't make them understand me, and I had the cot sides up on the bed, and I remember dragging myself up the cot sides and holding onto the cot sides and turning myself round sideways in order that I could stay awake, and said that I would not go to sleep until somebody came in and helped me understand how I could not have an artificial, do not artificially resuscitate on my life, because I was in intensive care, but I was out as intensive care. I was in high frequency or whatever it's called. I don't know, but I stayed awake for until the next day. Because I was too frightened to go to sleep. And during the time awake, and it was a few hours, that feeling of waiting for somebody to come and save me was I think probably the same as army crawling across the gym. I would imagine going from one machine, probably I think for about 10 hours afterwards. It was just the relief of having the answer that got me beyond that place. And I think that, when you walked into that doctor and he said, "How did you do it? You shouldn't be walking right now." Well, neither should I have been carrying on, but we do. So I think that's it. I think for me, I didn't do anything that day. I had to wait. But whilst I was waiting and staying awake and waiting and waiting and waiting and feeling like they weren't going to come, it was never going to end. Actually, it was because I had to wait so long that develops the resilience. Now, what that means now is that I am perfectly willing to wait for something to come to fruition for an awfully long time, which means I can plan quite far into the future now, but only because I went through that. So we'll do that with you.
Oh, incredible, MJ.
Love that. Wow, that conversation is amazing. I'm always blessed to have an opportunity to listen with Mandy Jane, MJ, whenever she shares her adventures, her stories, her tips. I am blessed. Thank you, Mandy. Chloe, I know you have a lot of projects prepared, releases, social media accounts that you want to promote. How do people connect with you? How do people reach out? Where can they see you? Like what Matt asked you a while ago. What's next? Projects, events, releases. The floor is yours. Feel free to promote, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jan, and everybody for listening and your contributions. It's always powerful to have amazing conversations with interesting, forward-thinking people. So the best way to find me is on LinkedIn, of course, Chloe Stevens. You can also find me at Coach Chloe1 on Instagram. And I have a website which is in the process of being updated, and that is www.coachchloe.uk. So thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all an amazing rest of your Monday.
Wow, love that. Please do connect with Chloe, guys. I'm sure she can help you in your journey towards success. And for everyone here, please, if you deem us worthy of your time, please go to my profile and click the link that will direct you to our Spotify account where you can find 300 plus episodes, featuring experts, speakers, creators, entrepreneurs, leaders that will give you values, tips that you can use and can help you go to the next level. Guys, also please connect with everyone that is here in our session today. Emma, Nadim, Luis, Martin, Matt, Mandy Jane, Chloe, and yours truly, Jan Santos. Please do connect. Let's build this community, collaborate, help each other reach their goals in life. Again, guys, have a positive outlook in life. Smile. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chloe. God bless you.
Thank you for being with us here on the Creative Talk Podcast. I'm your host, John Santos. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. See you again, always.